Today's lesson is on solving multi-step equations. Let's look at some examples. In our first example, we have the equation negative 3x plus 5 equals 2. Anytime we have a multi-step equation, our first goal is to get all of the terms that have a variable attached to them on one side of the equation and all of the constants on the other side. So I have a variable term and a constant on the left, and I have just a constant on the right. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides to get all of the constants on the right. So on the left, I'm left with negative 3x, and on the right, I have 2 minus 5, which is negative 3. Now I just have a one-step equation that I can solve by dividing both sides by negative 3. And I have x equals 1. Now we're going to do a check for each of our problems too to make sure that we have a solution that works. So we're going to go back to our original equation and put in 1 in place of x. So negative 3 times 1 plus 5 equals 2. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. And negative 3 plus 5 is 2. So 2 equals 2. We got it. All right, let's look at our next example. Now remember, our goal is to get all terms that involve a constant, that involve a variable on one side and all of our constants on the other side. So here I have a term with a variable x, I have a constant, and then on the right side of the equation I have a constant. So I want to add 1/2 to both sides of this equation to get all of my constant terms on the right. So now I'm left with x over 8 on the left, and negative 7/2 plus 1/2 would be negative 6/2 or negative 3. So I have x over 8 equals negative 3. Now I have a one-step equation where I need to multiply by 8 on both sides of my equation. So I have x equals negative 24. Let's do our check. We're going to put in negative 24 in place of x. So negative 24 over 8 minus 1/2 equals negative 7/2. Let's reduce this fraction to fraction over 2 so that we have a common denominator. So I'll divide both the top and the bottom by 4. So I have negative 6/2 minus 1/2 equals negative 7/2. Negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7. So negative 7/2 equals negative 7/2. Yes. All right, let's look at another example. On this one, we have a two-step equation, but our first step is just to combine like terms. If we look, we have two terms that both involve y on the left side, and on the right side of the equation we have a constant. So our first step is just to simplify this. So 3y minus 8y would be negative 5y, and that equals 25. Now I have a one-step equation where I need to divide by negative 5, and I get y equals negative 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Positive divided by negative, negative. Let's go ahead and do a check. So we have 3 times negative 5 minus 8 times negative 5 equals 25. And we want to see if this is true. So 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 minus 8 times negative 5 is negative 40, and that equals 25. We're going to simplify this. Instead of subtracting a negative, we'll change it to addition. So negative 15 plus 40 equals 25. The left side does simplify to 25, so we have 25 equals 25, and we got it. All right, let's look at one last example. This time we're going to write the equation. So we have the height at the top of a roller coaster is 10 times the height at the starting point. And that starting point, we're going to use h to represent. the height decreases 100 feet from the top to the bottom of the hill, and the height at the bottom of the hill is negative 10 feet. So we need to find h, or the height at the start. So here's a little diagram to help us. Here's the start. It's h feet off the ground. Goes up, 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 up to the top where it's 10 times the height at the bottom. And then when it goes down, 10 times the height at the start. And then when it goes down to the bottom, it's at negative 10. Okay, so here we know that the height is h, the starting point, and the height decreases 100 feet from the top to the bottom. And we know that at the top it's 10h. So whatever the top is, 10h, if we subtract 100, we know that's going to be negative 10. Okay, so now we just need to solve this equation. We're going to get the constants all on the right, so we're going to add 100 to both sides. We get 10h equals 90. We'll divide by 10 on both sides and get h equals 9 feet. We can do a little check here too to say that 10 times 9 minus 100 equals negative 10. So we used our original equation we wrote and used 9 in place of that starting height. So now we have 90 minus 100 equals negative 10, and negative 10 is equal to negative 10. So we got it. All right, go ahead and try a few of these on your own, and I will see you soon.